How's it going, everyone? It's Kenneth here, and it's definitely been quite a while since I've made a video about gardening, but today I am down at an allotment site. And for those of you who don't know what an allotment is, if you're not in the UK, it's a large piece of land, not always large, but fairly large piece of land that's been divided into smaller plots, and those plots are then rented out to local people in the area. So it's generally managed by local councils or local government, and it is incredibly cheap to rent. So I'm going to do a whole series of videos aimed around allotments, what they are, what you do when you get one, how to get one if you're in the UK, and so today I'm going to show you what it looks like, and we're going to start clearing it up. It's quite a lot of work. We probably won't be able to get much planted now because it's going into winter. And as you all know, I've stopped growing stuff in the garden at home because I thought winter had sort of arrived and it got really cold. But we've had basically a month of really, really warm weather. I mean, today it's like 19 degrees, so I don't know where that came from, but it doesn't matter. So hopefully we can get the allotment all cleared up before winter really does come, because we won't really be able to do much then, and at least in spring we can start with a blank canvas and we can start growing stuff straight away. So we're almost there. I'll show you what it looks like in a second. It's actually the next day now. I stopped filming yesterday just because I kind of wanted to get on with clearing up the allotment, and my friend and his girlfriend came around and we just basically kind of got on with it. So I'm going to walk down there, well, I'm busy walking down there now. The allotment we have is literally just around the corner from where I live, which is really, really handy. And I will show you what we have done and just explain a bit more about the first steps of getting an allotment. I think it's often a lot different to what you expect, and something you need to remember is that when people give up allotments, it's normally because they just don't have enough time, or they don't realize how much work's involved. So for example, they probably haven't gone to the allotment for maybe 3 or 4 months, and there's an allotment officer that will walk around, take a look at how the allotments are doing, and if they can see that they've been unkept, they'll contact the allotment holder and say, are you busy, do you want to carry on taking the allotment, or do you want to give it up? And if they want to give it up, they will then give it to someone on the waiting list, and it'll be your responsibility to go and then clean the whole thing up. So that's the first thing you're going to have to bear in mind, that getting an allotment will require quite a lot of work initially. You're not going to get an awesome piece of land or a little plot that's going to be all well kept and pristine. So be prepared to put in a bit of hard work in the beginning. The second thing to note, and this is something I didn't really know, is that try pick your time when you get it. And the reason I say that is you could actually save yourself a bit of money. It is already cheap anyway. We only pay £56 a year for our plot. There are some cheaper ones and some more expensive ones depending on the size that you have. But we've taken ours in autumn now, so it's October. But we don't actually have to pay for it until next year, which is awesome. So we've got 3 months to start clearing it up and getting it ready. And we're not paying for that. The only thing we had to pay for was a bit of an admin fee and to have a key to get into the whole area. So if you're strapped for cash and you want to save a bit of money, try get your allotment towards the end of the season. Now, another reason why you won't have to pay if you take it sort of halfway through the season is because an allotment holder would have already paid for that plot for the year. It might be worth checking with your local council. It might be a bit different depending on where you are, but that's what happened in our case. So we basically got 3 months for free, and I think we only have to pay, do they invoice us in January, I think, something like that, but it doesn't matter. So we basically got 3 months where we can get everything ready and not have to worry about paying for nothing. Another thing to bear in mind is you think carefully about what you want to grow on the allotment. And I say that because if you want to grow stuff in a polytunnel, not all allotments are allowed to have structures on them. We're lucky on this one, we're allowed to have structures, and the rule is that generally any structure, so like a shed or a polytunnel, can take up to 25% of the area on your plot, and the rest generally needs to be vegetables. On this site as well, we're lucky enough to be able to have bees if we want, as well as rabbits or chickens, which is amazing. But again, the same rule applies. You can't take up, you know, your whole allotment with structures for animals or, you know, for a polytunnel. And the reason is, the main purpose for them is to grow vegetables. And so from the time I left my house till now, it's only been a couple of minutes, 3-4 minutes, we are already at the site. You know, another thing to think about is the proximity of the allotment to where you live. Now, normally people that live closest to the particular site will have precedence over receiving a plot. If there's space in one that's further away, they will give it to someone else, if they really want one. But again, you know, they take a lot of time and a lot of effort to get started and to get going. So ideally you want to be as close as possible. So this site is absolutely perfect. I can walk here, it's quite easy to drive to if I need to bring heavy stuff. So in summer especially, I'll be able to pop down first thing in the morning, because it gets light in the UK at like 4 o'clock, you know, in the morning, and it gets dark at like 9, 10. So it's really handy. Okay, so here we are. We managed to get quite a lot done. There's still a lot of work to do, but you know, I don't think we're in a massive rush, because obviously you know, winter is pretty much on its way. We might not be able to get much done, and there's, you know, still quite a bit of work to do. I think our aim is to hopefully get it all cleared up before it gets too cold and the ground gets sort of frozen. But here's everything we've done. So we've kind of, there were 6 beds on this plot that you could see where all the weeds were. So there's one over here, one over there that we put all the stuff we've kind of picked. There's another one over here that extends all the way to that thing, whatever it is. This is a bigger one. There's the exact same one next to it, which we haven't got to yet. And there's this patch over here, and it's actually got raspberry canes in, so they're not doing massively well. But what we're going to do with the raspberries is let them, you know, sit over winter, and in the springtime we might just transplant them and maybe make some rows on the borders with them, because it's really nice to have raspberries and they're quite expensive to buy in the shop. But then once all that's cleared, we'll have a whole another bed over here. There's some rosehip over there, which I'm not too sure if we'll keep or not, but you know, that's quite a big bed. And we've got this section over here, which was either raised beds or like some kind of composting area. You know, that looks like it was a composter, but all this rhubarb is basically dead, so we might just pull all this up, and then we'll have another little bit over here as well. Now, the great thing about having an allotment versus growing at home is that you know, I had loads of issues with the animals kind of going in the beds all the time when we weren't there. We were restricted because the house didn't belong to us, so we couldn't just rip everything up and start planting things. So that's one of the reasons why I decided to stop, you know, growing vegetables at home and move here rather. It's a bigger space, it's really inexpensive to rent, and hopefully it will mean that we can grow a lot more vegetables all year round. So that's it for this episode. Sorry it wasn't massively succinct, you know, all done in one day, but like I said, I just wanted to get on with it yesterday and just sort of clear it up as much as possible. So all the videos I'll be making in the future, or for at least the time being, are going to be based around starting an allotment and how it progresses, and you know, hopefully it can be even more productive than the food we grew in the garden. As obviously the winter gets colder and colder, I might not be out that much. I'm going to try to continue making those podcasts. I will put a link up to them over here, or there, whichever side it is. So if you want to listen to them, go for it. They're a bit different to what the videos are about, and it's more about food politics and where our food comes from and that kind of thing. So slightly different tone. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Leave a like and a comment down below. It would be great if you could also subscribe to the channel if you want to carry on watching these videos, and share it with your friends and family. I will see you guys next time. See you later.